perfect. Now we will see your presentation. Okay, perfect. We can clearly see your presentation too.
Excuse me. Yes, but I cannot see you anymore.
It is normal. It is normal. You will direct your presentation. If there is question, I will keep you informed. Okay.
So you see my presentation now? Is that true?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much, and I'm sorry for technical difficulties. And I will try to make it pretty quick because I have a lot of material here, and I'm actually very happy to talk to you today. Especially as some of the issues I brought up, I saw today addressed in the keynote speech about the limitation of economic thinking, and I thought it was quite remarkable, especially from an economist. So I will talk about what we call the dialectic matrix model of neoliberal ideology and humanistic ideals, a conceptual development that I've been working on with a number of my colleagues. And as I said, the best I can do is give you like a quick overview. So the background is that globally economies are transforming towards neoliberal capitalism, and that has some downsides. And in my field specifically, which is work organization psychology, a whole debate has ignited about these issues. So that science is actually not neutral, but is actually quite one-sided and biased due to adherence to these undisclosed interests. And so a multi-level model was developed here. And what I will talk to you today about is our extension and revision of that model, and also give you an idea of what we're trying to achieve in a broader sense here. Constructing normative foundations for organizational psychology and related social science disciplines. So this slide may look pretty full, but that's actually what I'm going to talk about today. You see three parts on the side. One is society. The second part is organization. The third part is the individual. On the suicidal level, I will talk about this dialectic construction of conceptual antipodes of individualism, competition, and instrumentality as established neoliberal dimension with humanistic values of individuation, self-actualization, solidarity, and emancipation or liberation. And then I will show you how this kind of abstract political logics can be applied to analyze flexible work practices specifically. So
sorry to interrupt again, but we are now seeing your okay, now you're changing. Yeah, perfect.
Is this better?
Now it is the third slide, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, perfect. Now it's okay. Thank you. Sorry, sir.
Okay, no problem. But does this make a difference now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, this works.
Yes.
So, well, this is basically what I want to talk about, these three levels: society, organization, and individual. And well, one really pivotal publication is this one by Ball and Dorsey, Neoliberal Ideology and Organizational Psychology, which has sparked a whole debate in the field and a number of replies and a number of additional comments. And you do see my screen moving, right?
Currently, yes, sir.
Okay.
Fifth slide.
Okay, so you do. So thank you. I'm sorry about the.
Okay. Now it works. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so this slide is actually only giving you a broad overview of like areas that we've been working on. Starting from this ideology debate, we've founded a critical work group on ICROP, Critical Work Organizational Psychology here in Innsbruck, Austria. And also we have some international network on critical work organizational psychology, in which, among others, we have this special issue in the journal Applied Psychology International Review. And so there's a lot of current research activities going on. Here's the chronology of what actually I've been talking about, how this developed in the last 3 years. It started off in a small group meeting by the European Association of Work Organizational Psychology, which is our umbrella organization. and then continued to the International Network on Personal Meaning. And I developed those ideas and presented them and discussed them at several places, among others, the University of Bristol. And now, of course, this was disrupted by the whole pandemic. But as you see where we are right now in this conference, and we have upcoming presentations again at EAWOP and INPM. And so we're going to wrap this up and connect with what we've done before. As I said, the starting point is the critique of neoliberal ideology, and what you see in the lower part here, this three-tiered model: political logic, social logic, and phantasmatic logic. And on my right-hand side, you see like the critic of neoliberal capitalism, as I believe also formulated today in this keynote speech. So it's about the limitation of economistic thinking, and especially high instrumentality, individualism, and competition among actors. So this led us to delve into the whole literature on ideologies, and we're talking about critical definitions of ideologies here in the sense of a good one, but my favorite one is ideology is meaning in the service of power, or systematically distorted communication. And we wrote a little bit about this in this book mentioned here, Eurasian Business Perspective. This is our take on ideologies. Now, this matrix model that has been developed has some criticism, and one is that it's unclear how these three dimensions, instrumentality, individualism, competition, how they actually continue across the different levels. And so we do a conceptual extension here, and we also theoretically integrate the literature on systemic justification theory, which is quite elaborated empirical analysis. So this is the first part of this matrix model, where we compare individualism, competition, instrumentality with the humanistic value of individuation, basically psychological growth, becoming who one is meant to be, solidarity, cohesion with those who are facing adverse conditions, supporting those, and emancipation, the idea of overcoming limiting oppressive power structures. And here on the right-hand side, you see how this develops on the next levels. So we also do have an empirical component. So this is, we do have a survey measure that we're testing on right now, but I will not talk about this in my talk today, which is conceptual. So this brings us to the second part, the organization, and here how are these social logic applies to workplace practices. The focus is idiosyncratic deals, individually negotiated workplace conditions. And so what I'm focusing on is a dialectic between the humanistic ideal of employee-oriented management practices on the one hand, and the anti-type or the critique of individual negotiation, individually negotiated flexibility as a labor political power strategy. It's a bigger project, and I've just included some of the slides here that I will not be able to talk about in detail. But this is research is published, so we have a university journal here where I was the guest editor of a special issue on this topic, and also a book which is in German. So this was part of my postdoctoral research. Now, the summary was 7 empirical studies, which I mentioned here, and from those we extracted a conceptual model, and this model you see here on the number 1. So the model, the conceptual model is number 1, then the model number 2, that's the ideological matrix model by Ball and Dorsey, and number 3 is kind of some preliminary considerations, and 4, this integrated model that we came up with to evaluate flexible workplace practices. So you can see this here again. So this is how this multi-level model ties into the matrix that we developed: society, organization, individual level, antagonistic dimensions, and how these now are transformed or implemented in different organization principles. That's what the next slide shows here. So we have these 6 dimensions of objective, HR system embedding, distribution, the workforce, basis authorization, justice principles, and their respective content. And based on those, we can compare individually flexible work arrangements, whether they are employee-oriented or truly employee-oriented, or more like the neoliberal version of organizational human resource flexibility. So that was a core part of this research, and let me sum this up real quick. We have developed criteria for evaluating workplace practices and workplace interventions according to, are they humanistic or are they more like the neoliberal type, and compared those anti-type and ideal type flexible work arrangements. The main contribution here in this context is that we could actually show the value of this matrix model to not only on a theoretical and ethical and normative level, but applied to workplace practices. And so that was the second part. Now I very, very briefly want to talk about the last part, which is the implication of this model for the lowest level, the psychological implication. Remember, that's the field I am in. So we integrate research from critical sociology and psychology of social alienation, but also on humanistic social psychology of need fulfillment. And the meta dimension here is experience of personal meaning, meaningfulness versus meaninglessness. And you can already see here all these building blocks are basically what we're talking about when saying we are constructing a positive and negative normative basis of work organizational psychology. So, excuse me. So you can see this here a little bit better, I hope. Individualism, competition, and instrumentality. Remember, we first had like social logic dimensions of self-reliance, tournament situations, or rationalization. Now we talk about them in terms of psychodynamic or phantasmatic logics of success, superiority, and submission, whereas the humanistic version of evolution, meaning growth, equality, and empowerment, and how these compare on the lowest level, the psychological level. And I also included some of the core references here. So these are the three main outcomes or psychological outcomes: social alienation, is composed of self-estrangement, normlessness, isolation, meaninglessness, and powerlessness, but also psychological fulfillment, the three core dimensions being competence, relatedness, and autonomy. And finally, personal meaning, which also has different conceptualization, different dimensions, say sense of coherence, feelings of direction, belonging, and significance or consideration. So, and these now we basically integrated into a nomological network. The next slide will show you this, and we've added here the core references that we draw on in integrating this model. So, without being able to go into much more detail in the time being, that's what I wanted to show you. Well, the last thing I wanted to show is that we also have developed a personal development exercise. This is a screenshot from a virtual conference on psychology and spirituality earlier this year, and then basically used this matrix model as a personal development exercise. What are the goals I want to attain? What are challenging those? What are conditions that lead to experience fulfillment and meaning versus alienation and meaninglessness? So as fast as I could, this is what I've tried to talk to you today about. Basically, the four or the three levels of society: the political logic, the organization. And I'm sorry, I think now I'm back in the full mode. And on the individual level, the so-called phantasmatic logic. With this, I think I already overstepped my time limit, but I want to add, stop here with a short summary of the three levels I talked about and the applications as personal development, organizational analysis, but also broader meta-theoretical discussions of the theme, the field. And I want to end up with this last slide here, which is hopefully food for thought and brings us back to the reference to the matrix. critique of ideology always goes both ways. It goes outward, as a critique of injustice and system justifying ideologies, but it also goes inward in trying for self-insight and reflexive consciousness. So, and I included two quotes by the two representatives of this dimension, which is Karl Marx and Sigmund Freud. And I also included a new quote by the theorist Slavoj Žižek, who basically says that it's not like ideology masks something reality, but ideology builds and reproduces reality. And that is what I want to add, is what critical social science can do to us. It can allow us to critique ideology, it gives us tools, but also develop our own consciousness of those social realities, which is the basis of emancipation, or if you want to put it differently, the basis of breaking free of the matrix, the external one, as well as the internal one. So thank you very much for listening to me. I know it was a lot of material, but I'm happy to share this with you. So if you were interested in the material, let me know. I'm happy to send it to you. And if we have time, I'm also happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Severin, for your nice presentation. Actually, wonderful rehabilitation. I couldn't say it. It's a rehab for in terms of economic thought. That was wonderful for me, at least. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will get the questions or contribution at the end of session. We will continue with Professor Anita Varga and Professor Orsolya Falus. I got their presentations. Ma'am, if you are ready, I'm starting to share my screen. Hold on a second. Oh, probably you already shared your screen. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. But your microphone is muted right now. Could you please open your microphone?
Yes.
Okay. We can hear you right now.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you for your questions as well. Okay, my name is Orsolya Falus from the University of Dunaújváros, Hungary, and also on behalf of the co-author, my colleague, Dr. Anita Varga, I would like to present you our research conducted on the impact of the pandemic on the development of the relationship between higher education institutions and dual trainers. First of all, let me introduce our university, which is located in the center of our country, 65 kilometers to the south of Budapest, on the shore of the Danube, and also referred as to the sport town of Hungary, as we have a lot of Olympians and high qualified sportsmen among our students, which we are really proud of. We offer our study programs available in English language as well, in bachelor degree, master degree, and we also offer special programs. 20%, approximately 20% of our students are coming from abroad. That results really a vivid campus life if we are not on pandemic situation, of course. Our university is a university of applied sciences that tells you a lot of our enthusiasm towards practical.
Probably we couldn't see your slide. You are in the, we see your first slides only, right?
Sorry?
Or you passed the second slide?
I am on the third already, but okay, I start again.
No, we currently we see your first slide, but probably.
Okay, then I do it in this way.
Okay, okay,
perfect. I saw it, but the other is not working. So I spoke about our university, perfect. And I continued with the fact that our university is an applied sciences university that tells us a lot about our enthusiasm towards practical training, and our university's teaching and research work is trying to meet the regional industrial partners' requirements. So we offer dual trainings for the students, And this dual system originates from Germany, from their high vocational schools. That means that half of the training period happens in the training sites in the industrial environment. And this kind of training or practice is defined and regulated in details by our National Higher Education Act, which also fixes even the labor agreement of the students. The social utility of this kind of dual training is remarkable. I think of such students who do not have entrepreneurs or firms in their family, so there is a lack of entrepreneurial experience that can be made up with this training, so they can catch up with the others. And it is working quite successfully. And it has been worked till the COVID-19 pandemic emerged, which changed the environment fully. Of course, as we Hungarians say, each coin has two sides. So we concentrated on the positive side of the coin and saw the possibility of reforms in this situation. And try to make our connections with our industrial partners even closer, and ask for their support, which was really successful in this situation. Okay, just a second one. Okay, now. Dual training fields are various in Hungary. Mostly we can speak about the engineering, informatics, agricultural and economic fields. And due to the fact that our university is a technical, mechanical university with strong informatics and economy trainings, we are lucky enough to have a lot of dual training fields. So the pandemic came and new challenges emerged, and we had to give answers to the challenges. I think you all understand our situation. You had to cope with the same problems. If we can ask our students to show their private life and room when we have the online seminars, if we have the digital skills and the IT skills appropriate for solving the problem, if we have the appropriate attitudes, if we have creative problem solving and the critical thinking abilities. This was a crucial question in this era. But we were not alone in this problem. As you can see, despite of our university, there are a lot of other rural universities coping with the same problem. And there are also the dual strategic partners from the greatest factories through the even the atomic plant to the railway companies of Hungary. When we planned this research, we wanted to examine the effectiveness of dual training in an industrial background. It was planned to done on 2020 in spring semester via the Neptune system, which is the software most Hungarian universities use for administrative and teaching purposes. We wanted to send the online questionnaire via this system, and we actually did to the training sites, to students involved in these trainings, to the teaching experts, to all training fields. But we also embedded the questions referring to the to the changed environment, and we wanted to concentrate on the changes caused by the pandemic as well. There are the most important questions. We wanted to see what the difference of effectivity between the dual training and the general training system. Why do students prefer these dual training systems? Are they more burdened than their peers in the general training? Or whether the pandemic has changed the relationship between the dual trainers and the students, and if so, how? So these were the main questions. And about the results that were surprising in some aspects, as 42% of the respondents were able to perform work processes and tasks that require independent work without any difficulties, even in this situation. And all concerned comply with the ministerial decision concerning the online education. And there were no postponements among our students in the previous semester. So 67% were satisfied with the performance of the students. Okay. If we concentrate on the successfulness of students involved in dual training, we can see that the time of the integration of the dual student in the training site is less than the student after graduation in case of a normal training. So it is less than 5 months, which is very beneficial for the employers. This is why our industrial partners support our trainings very well. And also the utilization of the theoretical knowledge of the dual student in practice is 70% as opposed to the other possibility. So all in all, we can see that even in pandemic situation, the benefits of the dual training far outweigh the potential pitfalls, and it is worth choosing for the students. Thank you for the kind attention. İlginiz için teşekkür ederiz.
Biz teşekkür ederiz. We also thank you, ma'am, for your kind comments. Thank you very much. So, are there any questions, both for Severin or Professor Falus? If yes, you may we may take it right now, or you may write it on a chat site. Probably there is no. So, as I've said, Warner Woodford from United States will be with us for ongoing sessions. And now our Romanian colleagues has an issue for connecting to the conference. We will take them for the next session. So I'm sorry for that. So I'm right now I'm closing these sessions. Thank you for all participants for joining our session. I wish all the best for you and have a nice Sunday. Thank you very much for attending us, sirs and ma'ams. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
Dr. Bengo, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. The next session will start at 3:30. We will continue with applied economics section. You may still get connected or disconnect and reconnect again. See you in 40 minutes. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.